Thank you. We want to call Covington City Council meeting to order, and Ms. Scott, could you show that all council members are in attendance? And I will turn it over to Mr. Oliver with that.
Okay, I will call the Alleghany County Covington Industrial Development Authority to order. The first item on our agenda are the minutes, and Melissa has sent everybody a copy of those minutes. And if there's some corrections that need to be made, please speak now, or I will entertain a motion. And again, this is for the February 22nd and March 5th board meeting.
I move to be approved as presented.
I second the motion.
So we got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, likewise. All right, so moving on to item 3, unfinished business, to discuss and consider performance agreements in relation to 2 separate economic development projects in Alleghany County, which would be the Balchem incentive and the West Rock incentive. And I asked John if he could just to give us just a brief overview of why this is important, and that's pretty much it.
I'll present both the Balchem and West Rock information, and then you have 2 separate resolutions in your packet, and we'd ask that you adopt both of those separately for each. Both have already been approved by both performance agreements have been approved by the Alleghany County Board of Supervisors at our regular April meeting, and were presented to you at your February and March meetings. We discussed both in executive sessions. First in your packet, item 3A1 is performance agreement for the Balchem project. This one is the recently announced expansion of the Covington facility, in which we competed against a project in Missouri for the location here in the Highlands. So we're very excited about that. It'll be a multi-phase project. So this incentive is structured in a slightly more complicated manner than the West Rock investment. Both investments are located in the enterprise zone, and they qualify for a number of different incentives from either the state or local governments by being located in that enterprise zone. The state incentives don't necessarily require formal performance agreements. The local incentives do require specific performance agreements for the in approval by the IDA for the taxes to be rebated to the companies for the capital investment and job creation. So in your packet you have the Balchem performance agreement. On page 2 it shows the incentives and the amounts of the incentives over a 3-year investment period, beginning in 2021, a $4.225 million investment, 22 a $3.3 million investment, and in 23 a $175,000 investment, totaling a total investment in the Alleghany Highlands of $7.7 million, and that will carry a creation of 15 new jobs with an average wage of $40,050. This incentive, because it's a multi-year investment, the incentives are 70-40-20, and it's based on the year they're reported. So the company will report the net value of the assets and the investments to the Commissioner of Revenue, and then we'll rebate those 70% the first year, 40% the second year, 20% the third year. But as those investments are staggered over 3 years, in year 2, we'll be rebating the first year's investment at 40%, and that year's investment at 70%, and so on. So it's a staggered investment. In the first year, we'll be rebating $24,000 out of a new tax of $35,000, round numbers. I can give you all more detailed numbers if you'd like, but just in round numbers. In the second year, we'll be rebating $31,000 of a $59,000 new tax to the county based on the investment. Third year is $17,500 of a $60,000 new tax to the county. The fourth year is $5,000 dollars of that same 60,000, and then in the last year, it's $222 of that same $60,000. Year 6, the entire new tax, $60,000, will stay in the county's coffers. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you all may have about that particular investment or give more detailed numbers, but that's the more complicated of the two because of the multi-year investment. Any questions there? This is on new investment machinery and tools and real property at the local level. The second is item 3A2, which is a performance agreement for West Rock. This is for the investment that was made several years ago by the company. That total capital investment is approximately $119 million. You'll recall we were at the farmers market a few years back and had an announcement from the governor there for this project. This is on machinery and tools in the mill located in Alleghany County. On page 2 of that agreement, it talks about the amounts. And so of that $119,000 in year 1, in calendar year 21, we'll be issuing a rebate in the amount of $577,000. Year 3, $330,000. Year 22, $330,000. Year 23, $165,000. Again, year 4, 2024, the entire tax will remain with the county. It's approximately $865,000 in new revenue to the county in this machinery and tools tax, and these are the approximate rebates that will be provided. Again, the company has to certify, the company pays the tax in full for the investments, and then the IDA is the conduit to rebate them those taxes back from the county. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have about that or the importance of the incentives. Going back to the first incentive with Balchem, being able to put those on the table. I mentioned the competition with Missouri on having the project locate here. Being able to provide those enterprise zone incentives was one of the key factors in their decision to locate the investment in the new jobs in the Covington facility.
Thank you, John. Any questions? Okay, with none being heard, I would certainly entertain a motion. And again, we need to do each item separately, so the motion needs to reflect each individual.
Item? You gonna do Balchem 3A?
Yeah, we'll do the Balchem one first. So,
All right, I'll make a motion.
so we have a motion to accept the Balchem incentive.
Yep, and
Oh, Mr. McDowell, I'm sorry, Melissa.
do a roll call.
Mr. McDowell made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
Mr. Fitzpatrick. And any discussion? Okay, Melissa, roll call, please.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes?
Mr. McDowell?
Yes?
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes. And Brian's here now, too.
Oh, and Mr. Thompson?
Yes,
Sorry, good to see you.
it's Bobby Cox.
All right, so moving on to the second item, which would be the performance agreement that we have made with West Rock to incentivize that development. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the West Rock.
Mr. Fitzpatrick made the motion.
Second?
We have a second. And
Listen, give me one of these.
any discussion? All right. All those, roll call, please.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Yes?
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes,
Mr. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Oliver?
Yes. All right, so we're going to be moving on to 3B in our agenda, which is the joint meeting with City Council to discuss and consider action items regarding Project Sparkle and accepting of the application or the grant that we received from the Alleghany Foundation and the support agreement to go with that. And I'll let Ms. Unitas speak in that regard.
Good evening, Covington City Council and members of the Covington Industrial Development Authority. Before you, you have the grant award letter from the IDA perspective from the Alleghany Foundation outlining the transfer of real property from 410 West Main Street, which is the former Peebles/Boardman's building, for you all to accept as property for a period of 5 years at a value of, the purchase price was $262,000. There were some additional costs of doing business, as if you will, rolled into that. As you all know from our discussions, it has been covered in the agreement that at a period of 5 years, if we've not made substantial progress or no longer wish to hold on to it, it can transfer back to the foundation, and there is no issue with that. There is also a support agreement for your review and action, outlining the maintenance agreement that the city is committing to with its maintenance grant that it sought from the Alleghany Foundation, which is valued at $100,000 for 5 years, to keep the building in near current condition and address other issues as they arise. As you all are aware, this is a great collaboration between the IDA, City Council, and the Economic Development Corporation. So at this time, I would recommend or ask you all for your approval on those two items. For Covington City Council, I would ask for permission to enter into the support agreement with the IDA and for the ability to accept the maintenance award letter for the city to work to actively maintain the building in its current condition for marketing and redevelopment purposes for our Main Street and other regional economic development efforts.
Is that for us? Also move.
Second.
So I think you might need to make a motion for your portion on your agenda, and then the IDA might need to make a motion on theirs.
We've got
Or
a
no?
motion evidently on
Yeah,
there.
we've got one for council's in now.
Okay, so it's all inclusive.
Yeah. So council, do you have any questions or discussion? We'll go on and vote on that.
Okay.
Y'all okay with it? Ms. Scott, would you do a roll call for that, please?
Mr. Carson,
Four.
Mr. Hunter,
Four.
Mr. Tucker,
4.
Vice Mayor Crozier,
Four.
Mayor Sabo.
Four. We still have the resolution that we have to approve.
Yes, sir.
After
That would be accepting the grant.
Okay. Do we wait for them to, does he have anything he needs to do now? with
They
IDA?
need to accept the grant of the transfer of the real property and the formal acceptance of entering into the support agreement with the city to authorize their chairman to sign the agreement.
Okay, IDA board members, I would entertain a motion after what Crystal said. And we don't have to do those separately, we can do it as one, or each.
Yeah, I think you could do a blanket resolution, you know, giving you the authorization to execute any documents necessary to transfer the property and anything like that. We did that for Rivermont, so anything that's necessary to conduct the transaction, as discussed.
Okay,
So move.
Brian Thompson. Mr. Wood, a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, oh, sorry. Melissa?
Mr. Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mr. Thompson,
Yes.
Mr. Wood,
Yes.
Mr. Oliver.
Yes.
And then, council, we need to consider Resolution 2119, accepting a grant from the Alleghany Foundation for 410 West Main Street for economic development and workforce housing purposes.
So moved.
Y'all have any questions or discussion? Ms. Scott, could you do a roll call, please?
Mr. Carson,
Four.
Mr. Hunter,
Four.
Mr. Tucker,
4.
Vice Mayor Crozier,
Four.
Mayor Sabo.
Four.
Gonna do number 3?
I would
Up to
entertain.
Mr. Mayor.
Number 3.
There's the support agreement. Unless, are you going to combine the motions, Mr. Lockaby? Do we need to adopt it separately, or if they just give authorization?
with regard to
The support agreement.
that, the support agreement is authorized in the same resolution. I think that both Mr. Culp and I grouped everything together.
Okay, it's listed as 3 items on our agenda, so just making sure. Thank you so much. Appreciate your support.
With that,
Do y'all have any other business to conduct tonight?
yes, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Council, do
I
we
make
have
a motion, council adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
All right, we need to adjourn as well, so I would entertain a motion on our behalf.
So moved.
Second. And second.
I've got a copy of that. You can take that.
Okay.